What is up, everyone? Happy Football Friday. Happy Valentine's Day as well to everyone out there. Pretty short show today. We're starting off season with a couple slow shows, but we'll pick back up next week, starting with some of our free agency previews. Um, Hopefully everyone's having fun in Philly right now at the Super Bowl parade. I saw it was like 1,000,000+ people there. Wild. I was there for the first one. Wasn't able to make it this one. So we shall see. They'll win more. I am sure of it with how this team is constructed, Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni as well. So let's start off with college football news. Just one note: Ohio State hiring a former Lions head coach and Patriots defense coordinator Matt Patricia as their new DC there. So, yeah, interesting hire. A lot more NFL people getting into the college game. GMs being hired at major universities as well. So, Patricia had not been coaching this year. He was with the Eagles as a defensive assistant and partial defensive coordinator at the end of the season in 2023, but did not coach this year. And we will see how he does, taking over for Jim Knowles and the reigning national champs in Columbus there. NFL news, a couple things. Bengals linebacker Jermaine Pratt has requested a trade. So that's an interesting one. Led the Bengals in tackles. I believe he was fifth in the NFL in total tackles as well. Pretty solid player. The Bengals are in an interesting situation. T. Higgins, they need to get a deal done soon with Trey Hendrickson as well and a bunch of other players. And we will see where Cincinnati goes in terms of how they distribute their money. But Bengals definitely one team that is probably one of the more intriguing ones in terms of what they're going to do in their offseason moves, which we'll talk about in the coming shows as we get into the offseason more. Combine, the NFL scouting combine invite list was just announced. So I will be there in 2 weeks, the end of February into beginning of March. And just some guys I'm planning on watching currently based off the list. So quarterbacks, looking at Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart had a pretty solid week and game at the Senior Bowl. Looking to see if he can build on that. Quinn Ewers, we got our first look at Quinn Ewers in the draft process. Loved him at Texas. He's a baller. Needs a little bit more refinement, but I really like Quinn Ewers. Will Howard, another guy, national championship run. They keyed it on defense and the running game, but he really made some great throws in a couple of those games as well. Storied career at Kansas State before that. Kyle McCord balled out at the East-West Shrine Bowl, and as well as this year at Syracuse, I believe he led the country in passing yards. Curtis Rourke, the guy that orchestrated the miracle season for Indiana this year under first-year head coach Curt Cignetti, and looking forward to see what he has in Indy. And then Cam Ward, of course, touted as the number one quarterback in the class by many. He will be on display in Indy as well. Running backs wise, Taj Brooks, ultra explosive guy from Texas Tech. Trevor Etienne, can he build on his Senior Bowl week? My Georgia boy, go Dogs. RJ Harvey, a lot of people are intrigued about him. Shiftiness, can throw the ball as well as we saw in the Senior Bowl game. Jordan James, I'm interested to see if he can be a Bucky Irving kind of replica as the next great Oregon back here coming out in 2025. Ashton Genty, of course, the number one back by far. Where would he go in the first round is the big question on him. How high? And then the last three running backs I'm looking. Kyle Monangai, great runner at Rutgers, tough, physical. Think of Rutgers, Isaiah Pacheco didn't really do a ton with the Chiefs coming down the stretch, but Monangai, I'm very excited about him. Cam Scadaboo had an amazing run with Arizona State this year. leading them to the playoffs and a Big 12 championship. Marcus Yarns, can he build on his Senior Bowl week? He's a great guy. Interviewed him at Media Day there in Mobile, and probably one of the top receiving backs in the class, I would think. Wide receivers wise, I'm looking at Jack Besh, another guy looking to build on his Senior Bowl week and finish there. Just amazing jump ball guy. He says it's more like 70-30, 80-20 for him, and it's a jump ball, not 50-50. Luther Burden, coming into this season, he was touted as potentially top 5 pick. I think the luster has lost off of him, but I still think he's a solid player, and he's got a big chance to prove it in Indianapolis. And Mika Egbuka, he's got a love for Pittsburgh in the first round. Possession type of receiver, can play outside and in the slot, and I think he'd be a perfect complement to George Pickens, but long way to go till the draft. Trey Harris, the guy that had a couple of monster games at Ole Miss this year. Really like him as a wide receiver. Tetairoa McMillan, touted as potentially the top wide receiver, depending on how you classify Travis Hunter. Big body jump ball type of guy for Noah Fafita at Arizona. So he is a monster. Xavier Restrepo, another Senior Bowl guy there. Slot fiend is what I call him. He's an ultra explosive route runner there. Arian Smith, up and down week in Mobile, but I do think he kind of quelled the drop issues. We will see if he can continue to kind of build that upward trajectory in Indy. Ricky White, the third, UNLV. I love him. Baller, can play special teams, blocked a bunch of punts with the Rebels this year. And then Savion Williams. I hate that I kind of liken him to Quentin Johnston because, Quentin Johnston did have a solid year this year, tough rookie year last season, but Savion Williams, big body receiver and can go up and get the ball as well. Tight ends wise, Elijah Arroyo, a Senior Bowl guy, had a great week. Was super impressed with his mobility there. Harold Fannin Jr. didn't have as great a week, I thought. Dropped some balls. He kind of needs a rebound in my book for the combine. Jackson Halls, another Senior Bowl guy there, potentially the top H-back in this class, showed some soft hands in Mobile. Colson Loveland, potentially the top tight end. I think Tyler Warren probably is going to be that guy, but Colson Loveland, a lot of people like him, moving type of guy, not a very solid inline blocker. And then Tyler Warren, of course, my guy, Penn State, just ridiculous. So that's all I got on him. Offensive lineman, Kelvin Banks Jr., the tackle from Texas, of course, one of the top tackles potentially in the draft. Tyler Booker, probably the top guard by many people accounts out of Alabama. Will Campbell at LSU, another potential top tackle there. Ariante Ursery, Minnesota, offensive tackle. Looking forward to see how he moves. Big body, I believe 6'8", 6'9", 330, something like that. Emory Jones Jr., another LSU tackle, had a pretty solid week in Mobile. Jake Majors, center from Texas. He's a veteran guy, has started a ton of games for the Horns in his career. I really like him as a pivot there. Tate Ratledge, excellent guard from Georgia. Go Dogs. He is a mauler in the run game. Really looking forward to watching him. Caleb Rogers, another Senior Bowl guy, Texas Tech guard center. Thought he had a good week and looking to build off of that. Clay Webb, a darling by many people, small school darling by many people, FCS, or not FCS anywhere, Conference USA, Jacksonville State, center, can play guard as well, but I like him as a center mostly. Jared Wilson, another center from Georgia, go Dogs, had a great career at UGA. And then Gray Zabel, North Dakota State guard center. He listed as a tackle actually on the NFL's combine tracker, but I like him inside better. D lineman, Darius Alexander, Toledo defensive tackle, had a great week in Mobile, just blowing up the offensive line a lot. Tyler Batty from BYU, edge rusher. He's a high motor guy, high energy leader. Vernon Broughton, Texas, defense tackle. I'd have to look at the weight on him, but he's a monster. Ate very well in a bunch of the Texas games I watched. Abdul Carter, Penn State, edge rusher, of course, potentially the number 1 overall pick. Definitely looking forward to see what he can do. Donovan Ezruaku, Boston College, edge rusher, another Senior Bowl guy looking to build on his time in Mobile. The 2 Michigan guys, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, looking forward to seeing them. Mason Graham, a potential top 5 pick. Grant, I think, could be a day 2 guy. We will see, though. Ahmad Hassanein, Boise State edge rusher. He had a great year for the Broncos in their playoff run. Speed to power conversion for him. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, Georgia defense tackle. Go Dogs. Looking forward to see him moving on the field. Cam Jackson, Florida defensive tackle. Also interested to see him moving. He's a big defense tackle, 6'6" there. Riley Mills, Notre Dame defense tackle. Not sure he's going to be on the field because of the injury he sustained late in the season, but definitely looking forward to seeing him there. Olu Oladejo, UCLA edge rusher, my guy. Found my phone at Senior Bowl on the field there and got a great interview with him. High energy guy. Had a hell of a game for in Mobile. James Pierce Jr., Tennessee edge rusher. He's another guy that came into this season as a potential number 1 pick and did not have as great of a season as many thought. Still is going to be a first rounder probably in April. JJ Pegues, Ole Miss defensive tackle. Dual threat. He can run. He can run the ball in. Had 5 touchdowns, I believe, this year for the Rebels. Just ridiculous production at the goal line as a fullback. Jack Sawyer, Ohio State edge rusher. He's a motor guy. Had a great play on Quinn Ewers Quinn Ewers in the semifinal game. Nick Scorton, Texas A&M edge rusher. A lot of people endowed by him. JT Tuimoloau, Ohio State edge rusher. He is a guy that I think is going to blow up Indy. I think he's going to test off the charts. Princely Umanmielen, Ole Miss edge rusher. He had a great week in Mobile. Looking forward to seeing him again. Deion Walker, Kentucky defense tackle, 6'9" D tackle. Wasn't the greatest in Mobile. I thought he moved kind of sluggishly and just was not a big factor in Mobile, and then he left early. And then the last 2, Michael Williams, Georgia edge rusher, Go Dogs. Tyleik Williams, Ohio State defense tackle. I think both of those guys are ultra productive there. Michael Williams, the sack number is not really there, but he has excellent traits, sort of like Trayvon Walker when he went number 1 overall to the Jags a couple years ago. Linebacker-wise, Jeffrey Bassa, Oregon, had a great week at the Senior Bowl, calling the signals. I was impressed with his coverage ability as well. Jihad Campbell, Alabama. A lot of people like him as the number 1 overall linebacking prospect this year. Jay Higgins, Iowa. I mean, it's Iowa linebacker. They're tough to beat. I love Jay Higgins. Jack Kaiser had a great week at the Senior Bowl. I was really impressed by how well he moved in space and coverage. Smile Munden Jr., Georgia, Go Dogs. Again, another player that had a great week in Mobile. Looking forward to building on that. And then the last 4 here, Cody Simon, Ohio State. Excellent run with the Buckeyes in the college football playoff this year. I was impressed by his tackling ability and read and react skills. Danny Stutzman, Oklahoma, made a ton of plays for the Sooners this year in Brent Venables' defense. High energy guy. Jalen Walker, Georgia, Go Dogs. A lot of people like him as potentially an edge rusher, but he does have the ability to stand up and play off-ball linebacker as well. Really looking forward to see him in both of those situations in Indy. And then Jackson Woodard, UNLV, tackling machine for the Rebels this year on their great season. Looking forward to him. Defensive backs, Billy Bowman Jr., Oklahoma safety. He had a great week in Mobile, had a bunch of pass breakups. He's a hard hitter as well. Kobe Bryant, corner from Kansas. Looking forward to him. Denzel Burke, Ohio State corner as well. A lot of hype early in his career, has kind of lost that shine a little bit. Mello Dotson, another Kansas corner there. He's a worker. Nick Imanwari from South Carolina, the safety. A lot of people potentially liking him as the number one safety over another guy we'll talk about in a second. Maxwell Hairston, the corner from Kentucky as well. Another Senior Bowl guy. Left early, but a lot of people like him. Travis Hunter, notable, listed as a corner, a defensive back for the combine. So will he work out as wide receiver? I'm not sure, but he is listed as a corner. Will Johnson, potentially the number one corner outside of Travis Hunter from Michigan. Had some issues in coverage this year, but still a very solid player nonetheless. Robert Longerbeam, Rutgers corner. I don't know. I just kind of like him as a late round kind of flyer that I think could potentially be a diamond in the rough. Benjamin Morrison, Notre Dame corner. He is excellent. Not sure he's going to work out because of his injury that he sustained, hip injury. Jabbar Muhammad, Oregon corner. I thought he took a step back at Oregon after having an excellent season with Washington in 2023 to run to the national championship. Didn't really notice him a ton at Oregon this year, but still a very solid player. Andrew Makuba from Texas, safety. Love Andrew Makuba, high energy flying around. Siobhan Revel Jr., East Carolina corner, will not work out, I believe, coming off the torn ACL. Malachi Starks, Georgia safety, go Dogs. Potentially the number one overall safety in the class. Upton Stout, Western Kentucky corner, the little 5'8" guy, plays slot, and he played outside in Mobile. I was very shocked. He held up very well, but obviously going to play inside in the NFL. Justin Wally, Minnesota corner. I loved watching him in the couple Gophers game I saw this year. He's very sticky in coverage, had a ton of pass breakups. Xavier Watts, safety from Notre Dame. I enjoy him. He's a more of a box type guy, but hard-hitting tackler. And then the last defensive back, Kevin Winston Jr., Penn State safety. Not sure if he's going to work out because he had an injury late in the year as well. But he is another guy that's up there in terms of top safeties in the class. And then only one specialist I want to talk about. My guy, Florida punter Jeremy Crawshaw, just booming the kicks in Mobile, and we'll see what he can do in Indianapolis. So that is the guys I am watching based off the combine invite list that we got today. All right. Last general thing, Giants. They are looking to sell about a 10% stake in the franchise coming up. So estimated valuations on the Giants is about 7.3, 7.5 billion. So that would be wild. $700 million purchase for the 10% stake would be probably the biggest minority stake purchase ever. I would think. Have to think. All right, GM carousel, a couple things. The Jags kicked off their GM search with new head coach Liam Cohen in tow, looking for the guy that's going to get him the players. So they interviewed Bills director of player personnel Terrence Gray, 49ers director of scouting and football operations Josh Williams, Bengals senior personnel executive Trey Brown, Rams director of scouting James Gladstone, Giants assistant GM Brandon Brown, former Titans GM John Robinson, Chargers assistant GM Chad Alexander, and Bears assistant GM Ian Cunningham. So a wide range of possibilities for the Jaguars GM spot. We will see how they whittle that list down in the coming weeks. On the Jets, they hired former Vikings GM Rick Spielman as a senior football advisor. So adding to their new front office there in New York, East Rutherford, New Jersey. Coaching carousel, the Saints made it official. They hired Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore as the head coach. I'm not sure. I didn't see if he was there in Philly. I would if I was him, I would go. I would be like, we can get this stuff done, but I want to celebrate my championship. So that concludes the coaching carousel, 2025 coaching carousel here. Final landing spots: Patriots hiring former Titans head coach Mike Vrabel. Bears getting Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. Jets hiring Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. Jaguars hiring Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen. Raiders hiring former Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll. Cowboys promoting offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer, and the Saints getting Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. So there is your new head coaches for the 2025 season. The Bills, they hired former Panthers interim head coach, special teams coordinator Chris Tabor as their new special teams coordinator. Didn't take long for them to get that move accomplished once they fired their former special teams coach. The Dolphins, they hired Texans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick as a senior passing game coordinator. And under new head coach Kellen Moore, Saints defensive coordinator job, potentially looking like 49ers assistant head coach Brandon Staley and former Chargers head coach Brandon Staley as well. Probably going to be the guy to come to New Orleans there. Couple extensions. The Patriots, they signed defense tackle Jeremiah Farms to a 2-year extension, keeping him in tow. Saints re-signed running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire to a 1-year deal after finishing out the 24 season with New Orleans. And the Panthers, they re-signed J.J. Jansen, long snapper for Carolina. He is back for another season. Couple of releases. The Patriots, they released offensive tackle Chuck Okorafor, had been on the suspended exempt list for a while this season, looking to continue his career elsewhere in 2025. Gets a jump on it. 27-year-olds still got some traction there. And the Jets, they are expected to release quarterback Aaron Rodgers as a post-June 1 cut. That means $23.5 million cap hit carried to June 1st. Once that happens, it drops to $14 million. They save $9.5 million on the cap. That will be coming on June 1st. And they get a big $35 million cap hit in 2026 that they will have to carry the full weight of. So, Jets in the quarterback mix this year. 2024 NFL pick standings, the final tallies here. Of course, Logan had already wrapped it up, but I lone wolfed the Eagles. Go Birds in the Super Bowl, got the win, finished 2 back of John for second place, 5 back of Logan for first, as he finished 3 up on John, and Jimmy is a ways back there in last in the NFL picks standings. And here is your 2025 NFL draft order. So it was a fantastic season, capped by the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. You can see there the Titans, Browns, Giants, Patriots, Jaguars, Raiders, Jets, Panthers, Saints, Bears, 49ers, Cowboys, Dolphins, Colts, Falcons, Cardinals, Bengals, Seahawks, Bucks, Broncos, Steelers, Chargers, Packers, Vikings, Texans, Rams, Ravens, Lions, Commanders, Bills, Chiefs, Eagles. Yes, this is one of my favorite times of the year, the off season, when we get free agency. We start building these teams for the coming season. It's a long way away, but it's a lot of work that goes into it with free agency, releases, cap compliancy, and then of course you have the draft where you're drafting players from the collegiate ranks that are on a lot cheaper contracts than most of the veterans are. So Titans are on the clock. They've been on the clock for a while, and it's intriguing that this is the first year in a while that I can think of that we do not have an already traded first-round pick yet. Of course, there are many situations that could happen. Browns trading Myles Garrett could happen. There are talks of potential quarterback trades and whatnot. We will see a lot of stuff. A lot of crazy stuff happens. So who knows? But this is how it sets up right now for Green Bay in April. Very excited to see that. Might even make a trip out there if I can with to see some of my Wisconsinite friends there. But what a season it was. Started out, with the Chiefs defending their back-to-back Super Bowls in Kansas City against the Ravens. Went to Sao Paulo, where the Eagles beat the Packers in the first ever Brazil game. And then, we had a whole amazing season there. The Eagles could have probably been 15-2 or even better than that, depending on some of the games. But yeah, it was an excellent season. I think teams that surprised me, obviously the Jets, I kept saying, never seen a team do less with more. I think they were probably the most disappointing team. The 49ers also were a surprise, obviously. The injuries just wrecked them all year, though. I was also surprised by the Dolphins, but again, they had injuries as well. Tua Tagovailoa was hurt again this year. And the only other one that probably surprised me was the Commanders' run. I think probably surprised me. It didn't really surprise me that the Commanders were good. I told everyone to watch out because Dan Campbell is a very, very good. Dan Quinn is a very, very good coach. And I mean, he took the Falcons to the Super Bowl and Super Bowl 51 there. So, yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised per se at the Commanders. I was surprised they did that well. Not that they just made the playoffs, but went all the way to the NFC Championship game. I was very excited that my Broncos pick was on par. It started out very slowly, but I really did think Bo Nix was a great fit for Sean Payton with the Drew Brees comparison that I made. And after 1 year, it looks very promising in Denver if they can get some more pieces around him. And then the the only other one I would say is probably the Bengals missing the playoffs, probably. But at the same time, their defense was horrendous all year. So I don't know what we expected. And the Jaguars also surprised me that they were not good. I had high hopes for Jacksonville this year. And obviously, Trevor Lawrence getting hurt didn't help. But yeah, I thought they had a lot more pieces that they should have done. Hell of a lot better than 4 wins. All right. That is the oh, I forgot to say one thing. A release just happened today. The Dolphins have released running back Raheem Mostert. So elder statesman in terms of running backs, but still probably has some solid play left in him. We will see where he goes. But that is the show for today. Next week, we'll talk all season week 2 on the Monday show. We're going to do free agency preview, quarterbacks and running backs. And then next Friday, we'll do wide receivers and tight ends. So it'll be previewing free agency. I'm very excited to do that as some filler shows as we wade into the off season coming up here and the rest of the draft process. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and X, FAA_bets on X as well. FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and TikTok. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok because our TikTok is pretty solid, especially when I get to go to these events at FAA.podcast. Thank y'all for watching, and we will see y'all back on Monday.